Today's topic is best described in Surah Al-Jum'ah. And it wasn't a coincidence that these verses precede the verses that order you to come here to the Jum'ah. The verses of Allah where He says, قُلْ إِنَّ الْمَوْتَ الَّذِي تَفِرُّونَ مِنْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مُلَاقِيكُمْ. The thing you try to dodge, the topic you try to dodge, thinking about it, you try to dodge, talking about it, you try to dodge, it's gonna find you. قُلْ إِنَّ الْمَوْتَ الَّذِي تَفِرُّونَ مِنْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مُلَاقِيكُمْ. It's gonna find you. You dodge it, it finds you. And you know what right after this verse? يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله. Come running. If you hear the call for Jum'ah, come running for the sake of Allah. Why did this verse that Allah talks about death precede, come right after, precede the verses that talk about Surah Al-Jum'ah? A reminder to us to keep this in the back of your mind always, to remember this topic. And this topic is not our topic today, but a small part of it is what we're going to talk about today, and you're going to get that from the following examples. In the Battle of Badr, there was a Sahabi, heroic fighter. He astonished all the Sahaba. And they said, look at him. He leaves no band he doesn't split. He leaves no big man in his face that he doesn't take. Look at that martyr. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he's fighting with the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. How could he be in hellfire? He is in hellfire. Why is he in hellfire? The Sahaba did an investigation. They investigated. Get after him. They found that he got wounded to the point he couldn't withstand. So he put the bottom up and he told him on his back. He killed himself. Why? We're going to know in a minute. The next one is a man called Abdullah ibn Jahsh. He's the husband of the Prophet's wife. The first husband of the Prophet's wife, Habiba bin Sufyan. She was married to this man. This man goes to Habasha. Imagine this. He migrates for the sake of Allah because of the torment and torture from Mecca. He goes there for the sake of Allah. And what happens? He renders as a non-Muslim. He doesn't live but a very short time after that. Not true. Look, Allah, a very short time after that, he dies a non-Muslim. The third example, a man who's on his deathbed. In the Prophet ﷺ's time, they say, La ilaha illallah. Sahabi. Can't say La ilaha illallah. Say La ilaha illallah. Can't. If he has a mother. Does he have a mother? He had a mother he was disobedient to. The Prophet ﷺ, to get her sympathy, to forgive him, said, gather the charcoal, we're going to put this man. And short, what happens if she doesn't forgive him? She forgives him and he says, La ilaha illallah. Our today is husn and su'al khatima. Good ending of your life and a bad ending of your life. Nah, this is the days before death. We're not even going to get into that. That's a long topic. We just want to get into the husn and su'al khatima. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالْخَوَاتِيمِ. Your life, your deeds, your judgment is by your ending. You know what that means? Let me break it down to you in an example. You get up at night and you pray for 3 hours, 2 rak'ahs. And just after you're about to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, you start laughing. You've ruined 3 hours worth of work. By 1 second, you do the same thing in fasting. For example, you fast a very hot day for the sake of Allah. And just before the end of your breaking the fast maghrib, you, without forgetting, without a mistake, take a cup of water. What did you do? You ruined your whole day's work. That's how Allah getting the way. That's what's going to happen if you're not fully, like I say always, there's Muslims today who are like a balloon. That balloon, just examples, very good, much, everything. But that balloon, once a small step comes to it, it pops. The Prophet ﷺ said, always, one of his most famous dua, Allahumma inni as'aluka husna al-khatima. A prophet, and who is he? The best man to walk on the face of the earth. And he says, oh Allah, I ask you a good ending of my life. That's important, it is. The Prophet ﷺ says, one does the work of the right people until he in heaven get to a small distance away from heaven. Then things change, and he does the work of the evil people, he ends up in hell. And the opposite is true. Someone who does evil, and just before he's about to be doomed to hell, he does something good. The explanation of this hadith is not that he's doing something good. There's another narration that explains it. It's not that he did something good. It's that he did something good so that was apparent to us. That balloon, in reality, was empty. When the test came to it, it stopped. There was nothing in that balloon. And that's why the Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim ajma'in were fearful of moments before death more than death itself. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, La ilaha illallah, inna lil mawti la sakarat. مع النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين. Oh Allah, this was the last words of your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He raises his finger to Allah, raises it up, gathers his strength at his weak moment, raises his strength, says, Oh Allah, with the right people, with the messengers, with the martyrs, what will be performed with that to your Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Abu Bakr's last words on this planet were recitations of the Quran. Umar radiallahu anhu gets stabbed in his agony, his last moment. Say, did I finish Fajr? Because he got stabbed in the first rak'ah. Did I finish the second rak'ah? Or that's where did I get people? Can't get people in their strength, in their comfort, to get up and pray one rak'ah. Umar on his deathbed is asking, did I finish my prayer or not? And then they come to him and give him some radiallahu anhu, and he used to say his famous dua. Oh Allah, I want to be a martyr, and I want to be buried in Medina. Martyr and be buried in Medina doesn't work together. Because Medina was already an open city. There's no battles that go on in Medina. But Umar ibn al-Khattab radiallahu anhu wanted something, and he knew Allah was going to give it to him. How? I used to ask him, Umar, how are you going to be a martyr in Medina? Yeah, go outside of Medina, there'll be battlefields, people. How are you going to be a martyr in Medina? And he got his wish. Someone comes in the middle of Medina, in the middle of his prayer, and stabs him as he was praying. Uthman, go to Turkey, in the museums in Turkey, they still have the mushaf, the pages, where Uthman, radiallahu anhu's blood died as recited. The pages where his blood is there, is still in museums in Turkey. Died with the Quran. That was Uthman. And Ali used to say on the morning of his death, I smell heaven. Today is the day I meet Allah and the messengers. These are Sahaba that feared the days before death more than death. Abu Darda used to say and cry, work, work. A lesson to us for a day like this. In his last moment, we're still from going through. Abu Ra'id, the hadith, used to say in his moments, min qillat az-zad. Min bu'd al-rahil wa qillat az-zad. Long journey and very little to take me. 4,000 hadith. And they got next to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says long journey and very little. Let's jump over. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, the famous Khalifa. He's on his deathbed. And what do you think? His wife leaves him with the servant. And the servant is there. He says, excuse me, I'll be alone. This is the moment. His wife comes to the servant. Why did you leave him alone? He said, he wants to be left alone. They sat outside here and mumbling, welcome to the faces of people that are in human. Is he crazy? Wallah, he's not crazy. Is he hallucinate? Wallah, hallucinate. The face of the guardian angels coming down to him. Welcome to the faces. Not human or jinn. تلك الدار الآخرة نجعلها للذين لا يريدون علوا في الأرض ولا فسادا والعاقبة للمتقين. That's the life after. The success of the life after is for those who don't want to be supreme or commit sins in this planet. That was the last words of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. You say, as always said, these are people of past times who had good death because they were with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Iman in the day, Iman in the night. Let us jump to the Tabi'een, not to the Imams, not to Tabi'een, but let us jump over to our time today. Things that happened no longer than a decade ago. Stories that happened, there's books on this matter, like a Su'ada wal Ashqiya, that contain stories on this matter, and they have the names of the physicians and the family. Happened to, like a woman, about 3 or 4 years